this is Tina Stitches. Welcome to my channel. It's been a couple months since I did a video of any kind. I last did a whip parade back in beginning of January. Maybe, might have even still been December. I can't even remember. I was gonna look it up. But anyways, I have so many finishes. So many. Because that whip parade really just spurred me on to get some of these things just done. And as you can see, there's one of the multiple items finished. I even fully finished something. Yeah. So stick around. There's a lot to show. Grab your favorite beverage because it could be a long one. Not could be. I'm sure it will be. I'm going to try to keep it short because it's already 4 o'clock on Saturday the 22nd of February. Yeah. So I need to get this going. Where do I even begin? I'm not going to show everything. Yeah, I'm going to show my most current whips and all of these finishes. And I say all because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finishes. Yeah. I guess 5 of them would count as one because it was one project, but it had many finishes along the way, and I got stalled out. And yeah, I was so close to being finished every piece, and I could have had it done over a year ago, but it just didn't happen. I wasn't in the mood. You get tired of working on something. So I can now say that I will be emptying out this project bag and replacing it with a different project that doesn't have a proper bag, but it's actually a whip. I'm just going to transfer from a regular project bag from Amazon, you know, the vinyl, well, this bag, into that bag, because that one is now available. So I am going to try to show them in the order I finished them. And yeah, so that means these, actually I won't be showing first because I finished something else first. This was part of wasn't a part of a stitch along. I was stitching it, I started it along with Sarah from Our Stitching Kingdom, and yeah, this is one of those projects that I stalled out on. I had to make a decision. I just needed to pick one thing or the other and then just finish it and be done with it. And so I just ripped out what I had done as a test and went with, I believe, what is the original called for threads. The thread color. I used Petite Treasure Works instead of the DMC metallics. And the thread works that I used, I will get them out so you can see them before I put them away. Yeah, everything else is the called for. I had to source my own beads, etc. because I did not get the kit from Owl Forest Embroidery. And you're having a beautiful view of the back, which I think isn't that bad. But here is the front. I stitched mine on 28 count mellow cashel linen using the called for threads. I did not get the kit. This is Queen of Hearts. There was an exclusive kit available a couple of years ago. It sold out really fast, but I got the digital version. I ordered the threads. I sourced out the beads myself. That beadlady.ca has a wonderful selection of Mayukus and Swarovskis and Delicas, so that's my go-to right now. It's that beadlady.ca. And yeah. She did not have the crystal heart. I had to get that off of Etsy. I am missing one thing. So the original calls for some 8mm acrylic hearts, not hearts, roses to go on these trees here, and I found some, but they're too big. These are 10mm, no, 13mm, so they're quite large from that bead lady. But if you don't know they're missing, you don't know they're missing, because it's a complete piece without them. So here is Queen of Hearts. The thing that I was struggling with was I had put gold in the centers of these by mistake, realized it was supposed to be red, did some red on this side, and then I don't know which one I like better. So I just decided, you know what, just rip out the gold and just do it in the red. Yeah. It's finished. It's finished. Specialty stitches, beads. There are so many beads in here, and you just can't even see them. Let's see if we can get some of the sparkle to show up, but just not gonna happen. Let me just try something. Does that change it? But so anyways, I started this July of 2023, I believe, and worked on it off and on. Didn't take that long. It, you know how it goes. So that was my first finish of 2025. I finished that January 20th. And then we get into these others. But so I used PB35, PB05, and PB19 for those metallics. I'm sure this was an already used card, so yeah. So pretty. Now those can go back into my stash to be used on other projects. This bag can be repurposed. It actually is an Alice in Wonderland bag. And I even have, these are the beads that I used. I actually did change out another thing now that I think about it. It was the, I couldn't get one of the black beads, I think. Now I have to I couldn't get the dark bronze, I think. So I substituted with something else. I can't remember what it was. I will try to put notes somewhere about what I did. So I'll keep that together so I can try to figure that out. And now I have all these pretty threads. This was something I bought off of Stitch and Button. Perfect. Yeah. So that there's finish number 1. Okay. Now these next 3 were finished in January. I did work on other things, but we're just going to show you the finishes. So I don't even know why that one has a name up here. Is that it? I think I got my reindeer mixed up, but let's see, we finished that one on the 31st, and that one on the 29th, and that one on the 1st. So this one, yeah, it must have been this one, and I just had it labeled wrong in my book. Comet. Finished sometime between the Queen of Hearts and the 29th. Yeah. So this one is one that I was waiting for beads. And Magnifica is one of the main colors in this design. Magnifica beads by Mill Hill haven't been available for a while, and so to do this one I had to improvise. So it was supposed to be 10034, which I do have some. But that was not going to be enough. I knew it, and I didn't have any more. And so I had bought a few different colors of delicate beads from that bead lady, since I was buying beads for Queen of Hearts. And I got these, which were a little bit pricier. These are DB0038. They are some kind of special metallic coated. And so that's what they look like. And here's the finished product. Yeah. All I had to do for this one was finish the beads, add the charms, and done. Done. Okay, and then we finished Cupid on the 29th. This one I had to do a little bit more on, and then I added the charms and finished. I had to add the bird because I was undecided about him, but I went ahead and added him in because I just wanted to be done. That was it. Hold. Okay, sorry about that. Strangely enough, we had a delivery, and yeah, it was something that had gone missing for months, and police investigation ensued, and now we have our parts for our car, which we reordered, and so we're gonna get a hold of that company and take care of that, and also a present from my husband. So anyways, yeah, missing parcels are being delivered. If you know, you know. So yeah, not by the person that was, yeah. Anyways, on with the show, right? So, what did I show you? 2 of the reindeer. And then, let's see, which one's next? So we got, well, Blitzen. Blitzen was finished on the 31st, and I believe all that I had to do for Blitzen was add the charms. And so, charms are on it, and it is finished. Yeah. That's all I had to do. Done. Then we get into February. And I feel like I had this one finished. No, I didn't. That's right. The beads were done, but I had to add the charms. And the charms I had to improvise somewhat because I just couldn't find them or whatever, but it is finished. And actually I did, yeah. So one of the charms that was called for was 13053, and it's a green teardrop pendant charm, and I decided I didn't want to do that, and I went with the red one instead. Well, an amethyst one that I got from that bead lady, from her Swarovskis. And considering the price, have a look at alternatives, because this Swarovski amethyst 2-pack was $4.39, so good quality and very sparkly. I think it probably sparkles more than the rest of the charms do, but anyways, yeah, it's right over here. that's all that was left on there. And the 2 packs of the red these little medallion things. What do they call those? They look kind of like a sequin. Well, anyways, there's 2 different sets in there, even though they're the same number. Different dye lot, or whatever manufacturing lot, meant that they changed appearance, and so I staggered them so that it just looks like a variety. Yeah, very, very blinged out. Each reindeer has about 3 packets of treasures and 3 packets of beads per reindeer. You can, I mean, like some of the reindeer you can share a packet of beads, but most cases there are no treasures left over because the treasures are sold individually or sets of 3, so on and so on. And yeah, my way of sorting these things out was honestly what was keeping the items together so that when I did get on this I gotta get it finished kick, I just stacked them up with their little baggie of what was needed to finish it. And if I was missing something, I had it written on a piece of paper inside the bag. So if I was missing something at this go at it, I just improvised. I was just done. And now they're done. So that's how I started off February. I ended January with a finish and started February with a finish. And then all that time, I was also working on something else that I needed to get finished. And I had changed out my morning project at that time to something else that required time, space, focus, and needed to get it done. And I'm just gonna put you on hold again, and I'm gonna get the next finish. Okay. I may have to stand up for this one. Yeah. Dressmaker's Daughter is all done. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So there are a couple of modifications, personalizations, whatever you would like to call it. I may or may not go back and change, well, add the thing that I left off, but I may just leave it. So in the bottom of the frame here, there's just a couple of beads and a couple of stitches just to finish off this picture, let's say. And yeah, I just didn't feel like counting out to this random space in the void of fabric to add a couple of stitches. I will have to add my name, well, my signature and the year, hopefully somewhere. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna stand up for a second so I can show you up close. So there's winter. Now I started this was all done except for the beads. And summer was done. So this dress was done. There's treasures in this that are not available, and I had gone to, like I said, that bead lady and got some options, and I thought that would be cute, except that it's too big. And I got some different colored beads, but did I go with? I believe I went with this one in there for the missing flower-shaped charms treasures from Mill Hill, which are no longer available. And I did not realize it when I finished summer that I'd made a mistake on summer. Aside from that personalization with the bodice up here and that particular charm that I couldn't get anyways, I used the wrong color beads going down there, and I didn't realize it until much later, because the symbol is a star or a star. Just one is denser than the other. And so I made the mistake of putting in the ice colored beads instead of the blue colored beads up along here. But it does not take away from the pattern at all. And as I was beading, I was trying to keep the angle of the beads to follow the swag of the dress. And here is Autumn, which is the second one that I finished. The first one in this beading session. And yeah, I'm gonna just take it off of the board here to show it to you. Up close. I still have all the hooks for the top on it. So there it is. I did also change something in this that it was bothering me, and it's something that also made me put it aside and not want to work on it until I made a decision I'm taking out those beads. So on the end here, you see those large red beads? Those were supposed to be in the apples as well. And when I put them in there, it looked like the apples had some weird disease. So I took out the beads and I just added some metallic red thread. Probably from, well, I know it's still in the bag, if I remember. Or it's not. Sorry. Okay, well, anyways, this bag needs to be emptied out. And look at all the beads. Yeah. And I was going to talk to you about that. So, yeah. Anyways, took out the red beads and put in red metallic. I don't think it was this one. It very well may have been. Rainbow Gallery PB19, because having that giant red bead in the dimple of the apple just looked really, really bizarre. So that was my intentional change to that. And I did have to remove some of the beads from a section of these lines of beads, because that was too crowded. And this is 32 count. 32 count. Lavender? No. I just have to tell you one more time. It is lavender. Just lavender. 32 count lavender, Belfast Linen by XJudeDesigns. So that was the personalization there. And then I went to work on spring, which needed all of the beads. And there was some stitches missing here and there, so I filled those in as I went. And yeah. I love the necklace. I believe those are the called for Mill Hill Treasures. And I don't know if it called for the necklace to be couched or not, but I couched it. 2 strands of silver, Krynic 001 HL number 4, and I couched it with a single strand, and I had attached the beads to the fabric, but then I decided to go through the beads and tack them like I would couching it, because it looked like it was actually on the necklace, you know. And then the last final part of this design is winter. And yeah, so playing the Monopoly game with Amy, Kim, and Gail in Sunday mornings, Zoom, we play Monopoly. One of the things that I had to choose was something that, no, I just had to do beads. You know what? I can't remember why I worked on this one for the Monopoly board, but I do know that I chose to do beads and counted beads as double, because beading is a lot more intense than just a straight regular cross stitch. You go through the fabric, you go through the bead, you go back through the fabric. And in most cases, you go through the bead twice. There is one thing that I'm considering doing with this. I don't know if I can be talked out of it either. I'm considering taking Whisper and going over some of this with the whisper because it's supposed to look like a fur stole. And it does look beautiful even without the whisper, but I thought it would just add just a little bit more. And again, here I was trying to turn the beads to follow the shape of the dress. Yeah. So when I bead, I require a lot of space. Let me just put this back, and then I will talk a little bit about my beading setup. Okay, so quickly discuss my beading setup. That was one of the reasons why I had a hard time finishing that one, was because the size of it meant that it couldn't be put in a Q-snap easily, not without potentially damaging the beads, unless you have a big enough Q-snap. So guess what I'm going to show you. My husband had at one time bought me this gigantic Q-snap. But it's not a Q-snap brand Q-snap, so it's not interchangeable with the other pieces. So this is the only one that I have, and it is 17 by 17, I believe. So it was definitely the right dimension as far as height, but that piece was way too long. But I was able to fit certain sections in between, and so that's the Q-snap that I used. And I already had the large frame adapter for my Lowry stand, which was just sitting in my closet doing nothing, and I realized it fits perfectly on this giant Q-snap, so I don't have to hold it in my hands. I had it set up on my Lowry as it's intended, meaning that I now have hands free, and I put the beads in my makeshift tacky bob, which I use just gift card holders, and I put lint roller paper inside. I did both sides because there were so many beads, and when you have something on here and you're using the magnets, these magnets here, which are Smart and Cool brand cable ties, and if they're on a piece of fabric, and then that's holding this on top of my fabric, and I can take a bead and stitch. And it would also hold my chart in place, which I had taken a picture of, and on my tablet, if I needed to zoom in, I would zoom in, and yeah, that helped quite a bit. Most of it's pretty straightforward. Mirabilia beading is not super complicated, but it was a lot easier when I had my bead symbols marked out and the piles of beads in their place. So yeah, so for instance here I still have actually Alice. I had got a watch a while ago and kept the case specifically for stitching, and don't mind the hair, but this is how I set up the Queen of Hearts beads. So, yeah. So when I put these beads away, I can take off this low-tack lint roller paper. I can either reuse it, like leave it on there like I did this, reuse it, or just throw it out. But what I thought was funny about when I was doing the beads on Dressmaker's Daughter is I would have a symbol, and as I went to each dress, I would change out, okay, this dress only uses these specific colors. And so then I would modify the symbol on this, and it was like, it started with a circle, then it was a circle with a dot, and then it was a triangle with a dot. So you can see this one started off as an open shamrock, and then it became a closed shamrock. From that to that. And yeah, the two beads that I got switched around was 2103 and 2010. Those two symbols. But when you look at the dress, I mean, yeah, okay. Now I see that they're dark blue. And I didn't realize it until I was looking through the beads, moving on to the winter dress and, you know, pulling out the dark blue and wondering, where does the dark blue go? It doesn't go there. So, oh well. And then, yeah, I didn't do these little corner marks here. They may or may not be added. We'll see. Nobody's gonna know. I mean, it looks finished. If you don't know, you don't know. So, who's to tell them? Okay. I'm not done. There's still another finish. So, after I finished Dressmaker's Daughter and all the reindeer, I had one more so close to being finished, and it would finish off the whole reindeer project, and that is the sleigh. And I did some personalizations here. I went a little bit, I went way more personalizing on this one than I did the other reindeer. Yeah. So, I tried using the beads that was called for. And I don't have it with me right now. Well, I do. I'm sure they're here. But I'm not going to look for them right now because let's get this over with, right? So, this is still in the Q-snap because you can see everything and it's perfectly fine. I do have to sign this one. Oh, it's not finished. I still have a length of thread to tuck. I better make sure it is finished. If it's not, nobody's gonna know. Let's see. Oh, you know what? It's not finished. Okay. Maybe this will be finished the next time you see it. Because it's so dang close. I thought it was done. I don't know why I didn't realize it. Anyways, if you don't know, you don't know. What this is, the Sleigh, the final piece of the Christmas Eve Couriers. And this was all stitched on the same piece of 32 count Nocturne Belfast linen by Picture This Plus. And now I don't have to remember that. So one of the things that I changed is I had bought all the beads for this. I started beading over here, and the gold beads that were called for 02011 or 22, the gold beads, anyways, they were too big. They were really chunky. And in order for it to look like a rope, I decided that I was going to go with these beads that I had in my stash that I ordered way back when from thatbeadlady.ca. These are gold Japanese bugle beads, 03. And I have 4 of this particular size canister full. And so I thought, it's a gold bead, and it's supposed to look like a string, and actually I took inspiration off of that dress. There's a row of bugle beads across, and I thought, I'm going to try that for this. And so I just used the bugle beads to make all of the ropes here that you see in the gold bead. Those are all, yeah, I would string on however many I needed to fill the gap, and then I would come back up and I would couch it in place using a single strand. And then I would come back up and I would go through it again and then go down to make it line up nicely. Sometimes I didn't need to do that. And then I used them over here as well. And yeah, I changed out the, whatever the bead was, is that a metal? It is not. So the rest of the male hills were where are they? I thought I had them on you know what? This is the bead pack that I was using for the Sleigh. And some of the beads have fallen off, so I will have to sort that out. But these are the original colors. And these are the delicas that I went with instead. So instead of this, I'll put the 2 greens side by side. Instead of that green, I went with that green. And instead of that gold, instead of that, I went with that. These larger pony beads, I guess, are the original ones. And again, I went with the Mayuku Delica DB0038 for, in this case, it wasn't the Magnifica bead, it was this silver bead here, but a much much preferred this one. So, yeah. And I actually, the other thing that I do is I use DMC instead of beading thread to put the beads on. And if you change out the beading, the color of the DMC thread, it changes the effect of the bead dramatically. So much so that you probably would not believe that the beads here and the beads here are the same color. It's just the color of thread that is attached. This bead and this bead are the same color. And that's the beauty of working with thread in so many shades, is that you can change how something looks just by changing out the thread. If I used invisible thread, it probably would have had a similar effect just because of the placement of where it is. The other thing that I did is, in this section, I went from, I was alternating my beads from up and down to side. And then up here, I went diagonal, going from one way to the other way. And then over here is where apparently I'm not finished. There's supposed to be a row of beads going along here. But if you didn't know, you didn't know. But yeah. So, okay, I shouldn't call this one finished. I really did think it was finished, but look, on the back, I have my thread still dangling there, ready. I probably had to load up my bead tray with more beads and put it down for the night, tired, whatever. I'll get that finished. Matter of fact, I should do it tonight because I just want to have it done. So, yeah. 6 finishes. Would have been 7. I didn't even realize it's not 7. So, 6 finishes so far in 2025. And I think that probably already beats what I finished in 2024. Yeah. And there are other things that when I was doing the whip parade, it was like, I could have this finished. I'm not going to stress about it. There's only one project that I have that I absolutely want to have finished by the end of the year. But I'm not going to pressure myself to do it. I do enjoy working on it when I am working on it, so I'm going to, attempt to work on it a lot more frequently. Yeah. And that's the sled stocking for my niece-in-law. So I have a fully finish. Who am I? Right? Yeah, let me get the fully finish. I'll bring that right away. Okay, so I was just looking through my bin of shame. It's a shame they're not framed. Collection of things that I've finished. And never got around to framing for one reason or another. Size, budget, you know, that kind of thing. Mostly because they are in the larger size things. That's how it is, right? You just can't find a perfect frame. So anyways, I had this frame in my collection. It came with this in it and under glass, and I had bought it because I have a project on the go called Girl in a Poppy Field, and she's square, and I thought, this is a square frame, she will fit inside of it very nicely. And then I was going through my bin of shame, and I pulled this one out, and I eyeballed it, and I thought, that might fit. And I knew my husband had just bought some big sheets of foam core, and so I asked him if I could steal a sheet so that I could do this. And he obliged, and I set myself to disassembling what was in here and attaching this. I still have to, you know, seal the back. But I wanted to have it up for Valentine's Day. Because this is Wherefore Art Thou by Mirabilia. It was a mystery stitch-along back in, I don't know, 2015, something like that. I got the pattern as it was released, and I bought all of the threads. And that was really my biggest investment into overdyed threads, was kitting this up. Because it is about, I think, I'm gonna say 9/10 of the threads, 90% of the threads are overdyed. Yeah. And I did all the called for thread, except there was one that I could not get, and they substituted it with DMC, and I got the special bead. I did everything as it was charted. And yeah. It is now framed. When I pulled it out of the bin, it's like, that's mostly square. I wonder how it would look. And once I put it in the frame, okay, my line on the bottom is not perfect, but I don't want to stretch it too much and have it go really wonky. So yeah. Who am I? Fully finished. A big one. I would normally put this under glass, but the glass and the frame and the foam core, there was not enough room in this frame for glass and foam core, because it's a pretty thin frame. It's also really beat up. You know, straight on, you can't tell, but there are bits of molding missing. But I'm okay with that. Adds to the charm. I'll eventually paint it or something. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry to put the back on, to tape it, you know, and seal it up completely. So yeah, I don't know when I finish this, but it's been a while. So there it is. So I think I'm actually going to have to do a separate video for my whips, because yeah, that's insane that I did that many. Now it has been 2 months, but if you know me, that is more finishes than I would get in a year. So I'm set for 2025. I don't need any more. But it does have me encouraged. That's how it is with my stitching. It'll be work, 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 finish, 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 finish. So, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm going to do a separate video for my whips and purchases and gifts, and yeah, because this is already going to be a long video. So this way you get to enjoy it at separate times, and you know, however you want to watch it. That's fine by me. Apparently something is going on I must attend to, so I'll check on that and clean up here to get set up for whips. Yeah. Happy stitching.